Alright, what's up, y'all? This is Jonas with Pony Ride Fabrication, Denver, Colorado. I'm going to do a little video review here of the Harbor Freight Drill Master 4.5-inch angle grinder with this little kind of fence. Almost turns it into a circular saw kind of guide. I believe this was like 10 bucks, $9.99 or something. I thought it was kind of a cool little deal. Never really seen anything like it before, so I thought it was kind of neat to try it out. And I like the idea that you can, if you're going to grind something like this to cut it, you can set up a fence and use this as a guide along a fence rather than running along a straight edge or something with just your cutting wheel here and ruining your straight edge. So we got that. A couple things. This thing is put together wherever in China, and then they powder coat everything, including the studs that these wing nuts go on. So it's nearly impossible to turn these by hand. But you can get a wrench and get on there, set it up. The other thing that was sucked about it is I have a couple other name brand grinders, big box store grinders, and they don't fit it. They only fit this grinder. I wasn't even going to buy it, but I bought this thing first. Didn't fit any of my other grinders. So then I bought this thing. And this, with my coupon, was $9.99. So that's a pretty killer deal. I guess if it cuts through one thing, I've earned my 10 bucks, I suppose. It's earned the $10 I spent on it. But I've already made a few cuts with it. It seemed to work fine. So we're going to do a little review here. Once I got this thing on here, it's kind of finicky to get everything into place. This doesn't fit. So you have to kind of go on the side like this. If you're using one of these really thin cutting wheels, if you get into a bigger, thicker cutting wheel, you have to undo this every time to move it in and out. And the one thing that I complain about is that the screws are in here at an angle. There's no notch here to be able to get into the screw. So if you wanted to, and I probably will here in the future, I'll grind a couple little notches out of here so I can easily access that screw straight in and out. We'll do that at another time. I got this set up right now with this thin cutting wheel on it, and I actually am able to turn this one by hand after a little doing it with a wrench and getting the powder coat off the stud. So you can turn this one in and out. At its deepest depth, this on the grinder is lower than your plate. So there's your standard Harbor Freight fit and finish. You know, they don't really think about that kind of stuff, or whoever, whatever. So we got that. So like I said, I pulled it out today, and my little button here is gone. The thing that allows you to push down and has a stud going to a detent to stop this from spinning. So we no longer have that. So now it's worth $8.99, I guess. But if you just take a little, whatever you can find, a center punch or anything, you can stick that down in there, and that'll work. I haven't taken it very far, so I'll probably find it laying around the shop here somewhere. Whatever. So that's what you get for 10 bucks for a grinder. We'll go ahead and turn this on, and then I'll turn it back off, and you'll kind of hear it's, as a standard Harbor Freight tool goes, extremely loud, noisy. There's no quiet operation about this thing. It is not smooth. It turns on violently, and then when you shut it off, it gets louder while it's cooling down. So here we go. We'll run it. Woo! Oh, I don't know what that noise is. It sounds terrible. But if you take this wheel off and you run it dry, it doesn't make that noise. So something to do. I'm guessing it's whatever brake kind of tries to slow this down. Doesn't work very well. So anyhow, we're going to go ahead and make a cut with it. And I have this about 3/16" plate steel. I'm not going to set up any kind of fence or anything on here. I'm just going to try and run on that straight line. With this set deep, our spin is going this direction. I'll be plowing through straight forward, and we're going to see how it handles this cut. Like I said, this is pretty thick plate steel, so I might wear this wheel down before I get through that. I doubt it. It's a good cutoff disc. Even if you buy this cheap grinder like this, I always go ahead and buy good brand discs. I've bought the Harbor Freight ones. They're cheap. They don't work very well. They're hotter. You can, yeah, I don't know. They don't do very well. So we'll go ahead, see if we can get a couple clamps out of the way of this thing that I'm going to be cutting. Damn it. Long guys, let's see if we can't keep that out of the way there. We'll see. Okay. And I am not going to have clearance with that. So, that's what I'm going to do is just set that a little deeper, or a little shallower rather. And I'm going to go ahead and just use some of these C-clamps. I also got these at Harbor Freight for, I think they were $1 each. Kind of a hard deal to pass up there. They'll probably snap apart if I tighten them too much, but whatever. We're not going to do that. Okay. So here we go. It looks like I got clearance there. I'll probably run into issues here, but let's go for it. Got all my safety equipment. Glasses. Ears. Just shut that off for now. So we'll go ahead and make this cut. See what happens. Harbor Freight, $10. The trigger mechanism doesn't want to stay on. It clicks off really easily, which is kind of annoying. But if you don't, if you just barely anything, just shut that off. You know what I mean? Oops. We'll have to try to edit that out of there in a bit. Okay. So let's go ahead and try to make this cut. What was I saying? If I lost you. Oh yeah, we'll try. So, nothing. Just cut that off for you. Let's go ahead and try and make the cut though. It's cutting clean. It's going through it. It's kind of slow going. I suppose if we could get this angle a little deeper, it would work a little better. The more you can just be going straight up, the quicker it'll take the material off. But I'm doing it again. stopped it. Okay. That's all I'm doing with that POS. So, I guess, in conclusion, I can smell it pretty bad. It's probably a little thicker material than you want to go through. It's hot. As is this. This is pretty hot right here. Whew. That's burning up there. Pretty toasty. So I would say this would be decent for light duty cutting. Maybe 20 gauge, 18 gauge. Not this, 3/16 or 1/4 inch plate. That might be alright for a little light sanding with the flapper wheel or something like that, but I still think this is kind of a neat little feature if you can use it. This thing bogs down pretty easily. I'd say overall for $9.99, it's not a bad deal by any means. I mean, it's hard to buy anything for $10, let alone a working 4.5 inch angle grinder. That's pretty good right there. So anyway, I guess at the end of the day, I'd still recommend it. Just buy a couple of them and have them laying around for $10. Can't hurt. Never hurts to have a few grinders laying around. So I guess all in all, not a bad deal. You don't have to buy this thing with it if you don't want, but I thought it's kind of cool. Neat for cutting straight lines, but now this thorough test that I just did, I'll probably take that off and just use it, like I said, for something else. I can hold a straight line pretty much by eye with that anyway. Alright, well that's it. Pony Ride Fabrication, Denver, Colorado. Harbor Freight.